Everybody, hello, 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 and welcome to the Five Guys on Live. I am Zachary Kirk, and it's really an honor and a privilege to be here with you. We are, as always, extremely excited to come into your home for you to take a moment and join us on this day. And we're really excited to have a very special guest tonight sitting in the fifth seat. We have the one and the only Leroy Hutchins. Leroy, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate it.
Leroy, tell us a little bit, or tell our audience just a little bit about yourself and your work in education and how you are meeting the needs of children in not only really Cobb County, but as a role model and a mentor for really everyone in this state.
Awesome. Yes. So I'm the school board elect for Post 3 here in Cobb County. So I'll be serving the south portion of the county, representing them on the school board come January. In addition to that, I serve on the board of directors for Georgia PTA. I'm the special needs specialist, so I focus on assisting families throughout the state of Georgia, navigating the special needs process. I also am a state advisory panel member for Georgia Department of Education under the special needs umbrella. So again, supporting families across the state and advising the state on policy and data as it relates to special needs across the state of Georgia. In addition to that, I'm an active parent in my particular area. I've served, the local unit PTAs. I also serve school councils in this particular portion of the county, and I'm an advocate for children everywhere. So my belief is that every child has an opportunity to succeed. We just have to make sure we give them the tools to be successful. And so that's my take on how we're going to move our not just our county, but the state of Georgia forward.
Welcome, Leroy. We are happy to have you. In addition to Leroy joining us, we also have returning to Five Guys on Live, the one and the only Darius Williams. Darius, how are you today, my friend?
I'm great. How are you?
I am well. Darius, tell us a little bit about you and today's fashion choice.
Well, today's fashion choice is inspired by a nappy hair day.
I thought you were going to say it was inspired by me because it's my favorite color.
I was going to get there if you gave me a chance, Zach. But since he's already told you, I also wanted to make sure that, I get invited back. So I was Zach's favorite color. And also, this is coming off of Morehouse's homecoming, which would have been my 5-year. But, of course, due to the pandemic, we're in the house with it. But still, I can still rep for the Maroon Tigers in my little hat.
You absolutely can rep for the Maroon Tigers, and shout out to everyone who is celebrating their Spellhouse homecoming. I know that it is a huge tradition. I want to, that reminds me, Maroon is also the color of Mississippi State, my alma mater. And I want to give a shout out to the fact that this year they had a Black homecoming king, which is rare for Mississippi, as well as a Black Mr. Mississippi State University. I ran for Mr. Mississippi State and actually lost because a fellow Black person split the vote. Here's an interesting odd point of fact about Zachary Kirk is that of course, you can probably assume that when I was in college, I was very politically involved. But we were very disappointed at not having Black representation on the homecoming court during my whole tenure there. So when I was a junior, I ran to become Black Student Alliance president and then organized an underground movement of the Black students on that campus to select our own candidates and then block vote for those candidates. And we had, for the first time in Mississippi State's history, a Black freshman made, a Black junior made, a Black sophomore made, a Black senior made, and a Black homecoming queen. We only didn't have a Black Mr. MSU because of the Black person ran against me, which sometimes happens. With that being said, it's time to go right into an issue that is extremely politically, really politically motivated in some places, and that is our current response to COVID-19 and how this is impacting education. I'm going to turn it over to you, Trey, to tell us a little bit about this topic and how education as a whole looks a little bit different in the COVID-19 era.
Definitely. So as of March, maybe the third or fourth week in March, all schools in metropolitan Atlanta shut down. And so we had to pivot quickly to some type of digital learning, whether we already had it in place or we were working on something. And as a result, education did not necessarily move forward as we usually would expect it. So most of our schools, we have some academic gaps where children aren't reading on grade level by third grade, and some other, data that suggests that we need support in closing those gaps. Well, that gap got larger as a result of COVID. And so we had a long summer. Most schools pushed back their dates of, to start school, just trying to grapple with how we're going to teach students. And all the, what I like to call them the big six, the major metropolitan school districts, most of us decided to move forward with digital learning. And so now we're still trying to navigate digital learning. Teachers are trying to navigate it. Students are trying to navigate it. And so that's where we are currently. Several of our metropolitan school districts have started phasing in face-to-face instruction. Cobb County, where I represent, has started back with elementary school. Today was the first day for middle school. And in 2 weeks, we are possibly looking at high school as well, phasing them back in. But we gave parents a choice. They had a choice whether they wanted to stay virtual or whether they wanted to return to the face-to-face instruction. But I would like to bring out that the city of Decatur, DeKalb County schools, and Atlanta Public Schools have decided that they will not return back to face-to-face instruction until January. And so while I have an opinion about it, and I appreciate them looking at the data and deciding that they want to make sure that their Black and brown communities are safe through COVID, I appreciate that. But the rest of us, some of us have decided to do some different things. But digital learning is what we're talking about at this point, and how we make the best of it, and how we actually ensure that students are getting what they need. So the state of Georgia decided that we would ask Secretary DeVos, our Secretary of Education, if we could waive our testing, and she said no. So what our state superintendent did, he suggested that we lower the weight of how much those testings are, and down to, I think, 0.01. But of the state board decided that was not what they wanted, so they came back at 10%. So I do want to add. that there's a call to action for parents to actually speak their mind in regards to what they desire to see in that arena as far as those high stakes testings are concerned. And I'm not opposed to them because, again, they help keep us accountable as to what we're actually teaching our students. But again, we are in the middle of a pandemic, so we have to decide what's important at this point: social emotional learning or testing. So.
And one thing, Trey, I want to say hello to Gina, Christian, Dante, and Tatiana. Welcome, guys. We're glad that you're here, and please stay on board and continue to engage. My question for those of you who are watching, I really want you to think about how your local school systems have responded to COVID-19, and really, was this the right response based upon what you have experienced and what you've seen? Leroy, you make some really good points, and I guess I have maybe a probing question for you. Yes. And that question is, because you talked about the waiver that's been requested and denied by Secretary of State Betsy DeVos, as well as President Donald J. Trump. But in the event, which is very likely to happen, according to polls, that Joe Biden becomes the next president of the United States of America, do you feel as though we should reapply for that waiver and really push to have that waiver granted?
No. Me personally, I would say no. I like the testing. I don't necessarily like the way that we test and the way that we put the pressure on students and we grade schools, and the performance of this district is based on this one test. I don't like that aspect of it, but I do like the fact that it allows us to have a benchmark to know where we are as far as the education of our children. The reason why I say that is because Cobb County is a very affluent school system. We typically are one of the best school districts in the state. We're the second largest, 23rd in the nation, and we are typically a good, strong, solid B school district based on those averages. But when you start looking at an average, that some schools are A's and somebody else is bringing that A down to a B. Well, I'm in South Cobb, and my schools are those schools that have lower scores that bring that average down. So I don't want any attention to be taken away from the fact that we need additional support in South Cobb, and we can gauge that by our scores. So again, I'm between a rock and a hard place when it comes to those scores. I like it because it does show us where we're at and where we have room to grow. And so that's why I wouldn't necessarily say we need to necessarily go back and ask for the waiver, but we also need to be thinking as a state, grace needs to be applied. And so this year may be just one of those years where we look at and we readjust how we do education in the state of Georgia. It's time to reimagine education. For us to be a global market, Georgia being a global market, we are not really prepared to make sure our children can participate in that global market. Technology should be at the forefront of how we do education. Many of our school districts were unprepared. I believe Gwinnett County is probably one of the only school districts that's considered a one-to-one technology school district where every child has access to a laptop. I think Fulton County was working towards that as well. Cobb County, we were not. So we were grossly not prepared for trying to transition to this technology piece. But I think education should automatically have that.
But Leroy, that kind of goes back to the point that maybe we shouldn't have a state. Maybe that's why we shouldn't have state assessments, because we don't have equity in the state to ensure that every child has an opportunity that the kids have in Cobb County. And Cobb County, as you stated, it's an affluent district. So you guys have resources that other people are not going to have, especially in more rural parts of Georgia, where COVID-19, example today, Ware County shared that COVID-19 is actually reaching pandemic levels there. 700 students are now quarantined in Lowndes County. And those more rural parts of Georgia, when kids have to go home because of quarantine due to COVID-19, they don't have the bandwidth to have real distance learning occur. But if you're still going to have state testing come out, is that testing going to any way even be valid to measure growth, to measure learning? And is that fair to educators? All of these are things just to think about. You and I will have to have another conversation on another day, because I know Darius, Vince, and Rodney also want to chime in.
Well, Leroy, I have to agree with Zach. Clearly, we were not prepared with technology for our children for this unseen, foreseen forecast that happened with COVID-19. I don't think it's fair to test a child when they barely are staying awake in class, when they are having computer issues. I feel like that's just a formula, a recipe for disaster. So why would you want to be in a fluent, as affluent Cobb County is, why would y'all want to even do that to y'all children, drop down y'all test scores? I don't understand that.
Well, let me clarify. As affluent as Cobb County is, I just told you that I'm in the portion of Cobb County, the south side, that our schools average a D in the most affluent county, or a very affluent county in the Big Six, I would call the metropolitan area. We did not have laptops. We did not have laptops for most of our students up until maybe 2 weeks ago. That was 6 weeks into school. So even as affluent as Cobb County is, there's inequities everywhere. There's inequities in Fulton, there's inequities in Gwinnett, there's inequities all across the state of Georgia. But the focus that I want to say is we have to be able to show our state legislators, if we do not get our educational infrastructure straightened out across the state, ensuring that all students in the state of Georgia have access to technology and internet, the connectivity piece, we're never going to be as successful as we need to be in this global market. So I'm not opposed to having bad scores. I think that bad scores.
Okay, so you're doing it. You have a motive behind it. You're basically trying to.
There you go.
Now it makes sense.
We have to be able to show that there's a need. Yeah, I have to be able to go to my state representative, Erica Thomas, and say, Erica Thomas, I need you to make sure. Yeah, I need you to make sure that education is fully funded so that we can focus on making sure that we have the resources to put a laptop in every child's hand. We can't do that if we just take away all these things that are challenging for us in a regular education year. We can't just take them away and let them disappear, because we need to show that it's worse now than it's ever been before. But how do we fix that? We have to learn from this. How do we fix it statewide so that we can be the educational leader nationwide? And I think it's going to take saying that during COVID, we struggled. How do we do better?
I have a question. So with you being a parent as well of a child who is going to school, so I know, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have a lot of knowledge on the school board, but I think, for what I know, that you guys do get allocated money for the school, for the public, right? For your children.
Every child has a dollar amount attached to them. Yes.
They get it's an FTE funding formula that's set in part by the state, that every child gets a certain amount of money that's also based upon the county tax digest.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's state funding, federal funding. There's several different funding streams.
And then you have special revenue sources. So you have 10% coming from the federal government, about 50 to 60% coming from the state, and then you have local revenue that supplements and adds in as well.
That's right.
So I guess my question would be is since you guys know, and I'm not blaming this on this is a broad statement. I'm trying to call it anybody county. since you guys know that technology, from what I'm understanding, was an issue, why was it not already addressed for the children to put in technology, to put in this stuff? Why wait till a pandemic happens? Like, oh my God, we need to put technology.
Well, Rodney, let me give a little bit of clarity around that too to explain this. We couldn't predict, of course, in education a pandemic. Right. Additionally, every year, as Leroy knows, so Leroy, sits on the school board side. I worked in the district office side. Mm-hmm. So what we would do is we would start doing the budget development process in September for the next school year. We start trying to predict what the needs are for the year and where the limited funds that we get in education are going to go. There is no reason to have then put into place in any school system mass computers or mass Wi-Fi hotspots when you have greater needs in that district. The social emotional learning needs was a major issue. Disciplinary infractions and trying to fix disproportionality between Black students, white students, special ed students being disciplined was big. There are bigger issues that were there besides home computers, because the reality is, in a very progressive school system, kids aren't working at home. Kids come to school, they learn in school, we maximize the school day, and then when they go home, they have time to digest the learning, not homework. So the focus on one-to-one is a district issue for some places. It was once for Cobb, but that didn't roll out great. But it's not a district issue for everybody, and it really shouldn't have been.
Correct.
Well, I guess I'm saying this because I know when I was in high school, when I was in grade school or whatever, you had to do research papers. You had to go home and research stuff. And a lot of kids, only time they had a computer was at the school and not at home. So I guess I'm just trying to ask why. I mean, I know you can't predict stuff, but why was this already addressed many, many years ago?
Right. But don't forget, Rodney, there are also technology resources within the schools that a lot of times there's a laptop cart per grade level that the students get to use, or there's a computer lab that the students get to go to. So the idea of being one-to-one is a considerably new idea. And as districts are getting the finances to fund it, because one, you have to look at the technology piece, the actual cost of these pieces of technology. And then also you have to think about the professional development that has to go along with it so that teachers are able to maximize it. And so I think that a lot of districts have just taking their time, and a lot of them are still buying into this idea of one-to-one devices.
So I'm hoping we move forward with that thought process, Rodney, because the third grade test that our students have to take, that milestone test we were just talking about, is on the computer. So my third grader has to learn how to type. In addition to already doing the work that's going to take him a long time to do when he was doing it with pencil, he got to learn how to type. So I agree that technology should be a part of the framework, especially the testing is going to be that way. I agree. My son needs to learn how to type now. He needs to be fluent on how to use his computer. So I believe it needs to be part of the framework. But just like maybe a few years ago, there was a House bill that talked about Ed Splosh and how we can spend our money and allowing school districts to have flexibility on that Ed Splosh. If we had that flexibility, because the bill didn't pass, and hopefully we can make that a legislative priority. It didn't pass, but if we had some flexibility on how we spend SPLOST dollars, that's a 1 cent penny tax for those that have that in their county. We were spending it on capital items, building all these beautiful schools and all this kind of stuff. But technology piece that we can also spend that on, we could have been able to reach into SPLOST and say, hey, we need technology now. Let's use some SPLOST dollars to make sure we get these computers in. And instead of trying to wait on CARES Act money or pull money from, out of nowhere, we would have had that flexibility. So when I say this is not just an education conversation, it's really a statewide conversation on legislation to help us be successful, to make sure our students are successful so Georgia can be successful, because again, we are a global market.
And it goes back to how, unfortunately, the federal government has failed to provide the appropriate funding to be able to navigate a pandemic, because there hasn't been a second round of stimulus funding that would include education. School systems are using their local funds, having to pay for PPE that should have been provided in the Second CARES Act. In addition to that, you have them trying to now figure out how to navigate and use funds in creative ways to keep kids safe, when that really should have been upon the federal government to fix and to move forward with. So any other final comments on this topic? Because for the sake of time, we're at 20 minutes in. I do want us to move expeditiously forward with the next topic.
All I want to say is it's time for us to reimagine education in Georgia. That's it. Time for us to reimagine and and fix our infrastructure so we can be successful. That's all.
So for me, in addition,
and that's exactly what Joe Biden has a great plan for.
So for me, in addition to the great insight that you all provided around testing, while we're reimagining education for Georgia, I am a student of the arts. I was fine arts all day up and down. And so that is a particular subject, band, orchestra, chorus, dance, film, theater, that I feel like is so essential to a vast majority of students that could possibly be brushed over and really diminished. I know that we were already fighting for the arts to stay in school prior to the pandemic. And so now with the pandemic and everybody's focus is on the core curriculum and testing and other, in their eyes, I don't want to say in their eyes, but other essential things that matter. I know I was talking to some band director friends of mine and just gauging their perspective on the pandemic because you can no longer meet with the full ensemble. And so how can one band director teach 20 clarinets, 5 flutes, 3 trombones, a whole percussion? Like, it's impossible. So now they're literally having to go and dial back and just go straight music theory. And me, as I went to FAMU on a music theory full ride and stuff like that. As a creative, there's only so much music theory that I can take before I start twitching. Like, I'm gonna want to pick up my instrument and be around my friends and be creative. And even in terms of like the marching band scene, just outside performing in Clayton County right now, it's a split. It's a split down the line. You got half the directors that want their students to go back and perform on the field, and half of the directors that don't want their students to go back and perform on the field. And it's like, okay, when that one child, God forbid, passes away because you want to show your butt like you still in somebody HBCU, what you gonna do? So it's like this debacle happening right now. So I'm just really hoping that the fine arts stays in the conversation, that it stays essential, it stays just well intact in everything that is happening while we're reimagining the education in Georgia. Yeah.
Good point. Great point.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great point. And, for those who are passionate about the arts, I know that many of you may be passionate about this topic. Rodney, this is a blast from the past of your topic for tonight. And then it even goes over, this is what they look like right now. The one and the only, what a glow up, what a glow up. Rodney, tell us about it.
The reason why I want to bring this up is not really about Rodman. It's really about people who own businesses, who make a certain amount of money, who really do not know how to file their taxes correctly. And then they get in situations like Robin and many others who have liens and on the IRS and paying money back because they didn't hire a CPA. So according to Forbes, Americans who make more than 100K pay 80% of federal income tax. So that being said, to me, I did research around people make more 100K or more, just to see what are the typical statistics around them, like how much should they pay, should they have a CPA or not, and just to go talk about the CPA part. It is recommended by the IRS if you make over 100K or more, you have a CPA, and also if you own a business, you need a CPA because unfortunately you can get indicted and you can go to jail on the IRS. A lot of people try to not file their tax. A lot of people try to get over it, and then you be in situations like how Robin was in. Then according to the Washington Post, people who earn over 100K haven't filed since 2018. IRS is sending out letters and looking for you knocking on your door. So that means you get on a tax lien, and that's just something you don't really want to be on. And I'm just curious because by the grace of God, thank God, I am on the trajectory of making that type of new tax bracket. And I just find it thank you, God, that's good. I just find it very interesting that how I need to move. Because unfortunately, when you are raised in Black homes and when you are raised in, you can be in a fluid home, you don't really talk about how to file your taxes. You know what I mean? When I turned 18, I filed taxes on my own. My mom and dad didn't show me anything. They told me to go to HR Block and see it and see what they tell you to do. So I just want to encourage people to really understand a difference from business tax and a different from income tax. You don't need to put your business income with your personal money. That's a big no-no. I did that a mistake last year and I owed a good $3,500. So I just want to bring enlightenment to people who makes a certain amount of money to know how to file your taxes.
So, that's a great topic, I think, Rodney, and I want to tell Bella, she asked us the question, beautiful couple, are they celebrities? Bella, they are. These are two, that is Robin from the television show The Real Housewives of Potomac, based in Maryland, right outside of DC, and her husband. And so, we will open the floor up and share, here's some statistics that, about this topic, since you talked about the research that you did, Rodney, which is great. Only 9% of people in America make over $100,000 a year. Only 9% of all Americans make that money. Only 1.9% of them are Black. So that talks in many ways about the inequity that exists in this nation around capital and around money. So when many Black Republicans talk about, I'm a Republican because of the money and the tax benefits, I am hard pressed to imagine they're in that 1.9%, because many of the Black people that I know that make over six figures are still hardcore for the Democratic Party. So with that being said, Jim, let's open the floor.
I think it's interesting that this continues to become a thing on these reality TV shows. And of course, the people on these reality TV shows are a part of that 9% who are making well above $100,000. But I think back to when Toya and Eugene from Married to Medicine went through this issue a few years ago on their show, and something that they said, it really stuck with me. No one in their family had ever even made that much money, and so the idea of us learning much of what we learned through interactions with our family, just to be put into a situation such as this, that they still don't know how to handle those finances when they get it. It really shows, like you said earlier, the disparities in pay. And I also wonder what type of resources Bravo is providing their people with as they are propelling them into these scenarios where they're making so much more money. And because I feel like it's a sensational storyline that we continue to see. And I feel like a lot of times Bravo exploits these, they exploit them for ratings. But it's really unfortunate that they have to deal with this publicly. And even for Karen Huger, when she went through her issue just a couple of seasons ago on the same show, Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, this was the issue. Robin made very disparaging comments about when Karen went through the issues. So she said, Karen, how do you not know that you owe the IRS this money? And now she's saying that I had some extra income. So now Robin is saying that she had extra income that she just forgot to report. And so it's like, I think that this is also one of those things where, you're on reality TV where everything is being filmed and everyone remembers these things. So I think that that may have served her with a little humble pie. But I hope that as they continue to be on these platforms, that they will be a little more aware of what that means for them financially.
And also,
you made a great point.
Really quick. According to CNBC, approximately 30 million Americans who file their taxes will be on the IRS. So that just goes to show you that we need to have a better system, to me, explaining how to file your taxes and encourage people how to hire a CPA. Because sometimes, hell, I'm going to talk about myself. In 2015, I was probably making about $40,000 a year. And at that time, when I got audited, I owed them like $3,500. And I'm just like, how I keep getting this same predicament. I had to go sit down with someone and really learn and get a CPA, because I was like, I'm just tired of dealing with it. And so I can keep myself out of the red every time I file my damn taxes.
So, that's a good point. But here's something to think about, right? So when you as you approach a certain income, you can be taxed as much as 38%. So what that means is that for every $100 you earn, you're losing about $40. So you're making $100, but you only can bring home $60. And that doesn't even include the amount that you're paying into your insurance and paying into your savings. So all of that really does, for many people who fight against taxes, that's the motivation. But the backside of it is, so many people don't realize what Rodney is saying until they reach that point.
That's
And
true.
the key is to be aware of these rules and be aware of these laws and be prepared for them throughout the process. So kudos to you, Rodney, for learning early. And as we have some great comments here, and talking about, does Bravo help them?
I wanted to say
Take it away,
something about
Vince.
and I think Darius sort of posed this question as well. Me personally, I don't feel that it should be on Bravo to assist any of the reality stars on how to govern their taxes and stuff like that. I mean, there's just like, if I'm an artist and I get signed by Capitol Records and we see it time after time after time, Tony Braxton, a lot of people go through these tax issues and file for bankruptcy and stuff like that. I feel like that's based on your team, your accountant, whoever you're choosing to hire. Because at the end of the day, like, if I'm Bravo under the NBC umbrella, that's a big major engine that they got versus me being a random housewife on Potomac. Like, I'm cutting your check and you're going to do whatever you got to do. So I really don't, I think it's just their own due diligence and their own responsibility. If you know that you don't want your dirty laundry aired out, if say that you are creating dirty laundry, then you should just do your best and ask questions and seek the help. So, you won't walk into this issue. So yeah, I don't think it should be on Bravo or any platform that's giving somebody this amount of money, to assist them in that, to what is it, to whom much is given, much is required. So you need to research your requirements.
Vince, because HR departments everywhere provide their employees with all types of resources. And I think that if it's an issue that is persistent, if you care about your employees enough, then you will make sure that they are set up to be successful. So that's why I posed the question. It's not to say that it's their responsibility, but as a good steward of the people to whom you are responsible for paying, I think that would be an added benefit in terms of your HR services. But on the other hand, it's sensational enough for you to exploit them and get more money.
This is the thing. Most of us, when we start getting this extra income, it's because we're on some kind of hustle or some type of grind. So we got this extra money coming in. They're giving us a 1099, and we're not really equipped with how to, put this in my taxes or how to do these different things. You have to get, because I own several businesses. You better get a professional to help you with that, or you can end up in jail, because this is not a new story for us. Wesley Snipes,
Lauryn Hill,
NBA stars, NFL stars. Like this is, but as a culture, we really need to do better with being fiscally responsible and knowing the laws that affect us financially. Donald Trump ain't paid taxes in God knows how long. His taxes just got thrown out there, but he know the law. He know the tax.
Let me tell you why I researched that too, because I was very intrigued to how this man has his corporation and he's only paying $750 in taxes. So what's the way to get around that? Corporation, if you donate to a lot of 501c3s, a certain amount of money, it knocks out a certain amount of $100,000 off you paying your taxes. And that comes with you having a very skilled professional CPA. So unfortunately, it's not taught to regular people that if you donate so much amount of money that it knocks off a lot of money. And I found that very interesting, because I wonder how can you be corporation only paying $750 in taxes?
Well, I want to say for the record, I am a believer in you render unto Caesar what is given to Caesar. I pay a lot of money in taxes. And I have never said I don't want to pay that money, because my tax dollars provide for Leroy's Board of Education seat. My tax dollars is paying for the computers you said that we need in schools earlier, Rodney. The tax dollars make a difference. So I don't want to be like Donald Trump. I don't want to.
No, I didn't say I don't want to be.
I know you didn't say that. I'm not saying you said that. I'm saying Zachary. I don't want to cheat the American people from what they are from me. The more God blesses me, God is blessing me to have the money to pay the taxes to bless others. That's how God works. So it's not my money anyway. I don't believe that, any money I'm giving, it's not my money. God is just simply entrusting me with it for the moment to do his work and build his kingdom on this earth. It's not because I deserve it. It's simply
Pastor.
a part of God's plan to do what he wants done with the resources for his people. But or so I believe. And so we have a few comments here. I think Vince, you want to chime in, Darius?
And I was just saying, preach.
Yeah, the anointing was flowing.
I felt it.
But yeah, I just think it needs to be new rules on that, because I don't think it's fair that, you know, American people is paying all these taxes for these businesses, and basically the way paying $750. That's freaking ridiculous. And also I found very alarming, well, interesting, let me say that, out of 30 million people who probably filed their tax, out of 150 million people filed their taxes, only about 1,500 get indicted, which means they go to jail. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, are they really looking at you? Are they trying to use, for example, like when they indict you, like what are indictment rules, and they're go after this one suspected person?
That's because I think a lot of times when those people have that issue, they give you an option, they give you a payment plan, they work with you. But it's when people are running from the IRS, I think that they end up running into more litigation and more legal issues. And I think that, you know, that was the whole reason why, back to Karen, why she was so hush-hush about raise them, because to some extent, you know, I do feel that when you know about it and you are a part of it, you can also end up being brought in on whatever the charges are. So when you try to defraud the government, that's one thing I say, you need to be in good standing with the alphabet people, the IRS, the APD, the FBI, all of the FBI. I want to be in good standing with all of them. Yes. Get your money and do what you need to do, because I can't, y'all. I can't be sitting up in somebody talking about swing low sweet chariot behind some jail bars. Y'all know what they would give these people their money and then leave.
So I think this needs to be a curriculum piece where we teach this in schools, because I left high school, I didn't know nothing about credit, but when I got to college, them credit cards was right there waiting on me. So this is some of the things that we probably want to address in our community about how to be fiscally responsible. And it may be a curriculum piece that we need to add in high school, so that as students are leaving high school, they know what to do when they leave high school. Because again, it's important. I think you said it earlier when you said, if it's $100 being taken out, 40 of it is going to the government and 60 is going to yourself. Well, what happens is, if you gave me $1 million and I didn't file no taxes on it, I spent that $1 million. Now you want to come and ask me for that 40,000 of it, or your 400,000 of it. I don't have it. I didn't spend it, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to give you 400,000. So that's usually what has happened when people are now getting ready to go to jail. It just is what it is. They didn't spend it already. It's gone.
And Louboutin, they're not gonna take those shoes back with half the red scraped off the bottom of them. So
I'm filing bankruptcy.
And you'll probably still go to jail.
Bankruptcy me, please.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. And so while we're talking about celebrities and tax issues, we're going to go to another celebrity right now in our next topic, who's had a series of issues throughout his career. My fellow Scorpio brother, the one and the only Sean Puff Daddy Diddy, whatever you want to now call him, sellout Coon Combs. With that being said, Vince, tell us about the one and the only Sean Combs and why he's this week's topic for you.
Zach, where do you be finding these pictures? These pictures be taking me out, man. Okay, so Diddy recently made headlines about 4 or 5 days ago, and it really caught me off guard because he decided to not only endorse Joe Biden, but he also decided to start his own political party, specifically geared towards Black people, and that political party is called Our Black Party. Now, I was so taken by it because it wasn't even like 3-4 months ago he was telling us to hold our vote hostage and don't vote and don't do this and don't do that. And so now he's definitely whistling a different tune. So in addition to this article, I also stumbled upon the YouTube interview that he had with Charlemagne the God. It was about 30 minutes and it was pretty insightful. So if you want to, dig in more on your own personal time, I encourage you to do so. But some things that I sort of took away from the interview is that a quote that he said is that it would be irresponsible of me to have us hold our vote hostage, but it would also be irresponsible of me to just let this moment go by. The world is watching and not do everything I can do. I can too make sure that going forth, we are part of the narrative that we own our own politics. So he kept saying the black agenda, the black agenda, the black agenda, the black agenda. We hear stuff about the black agenda from Van Jones to Ice Cube to Senator Kamala Harris. Everybody talks about the black agenda, but the actual line items of the black agenda is never really, brought to the spotlight or what have you. So I was just very, very curious about how you all felt about this new position that he's taking. Do you feel like us as African American community that we should definitely have our own black political party? What are some pros? What are some cons? Should he be heading this or what have you? Or should he just sort of sit back and not say anything at all? And another thing that he also said, which sort of, struck me too before I switch it over to you guys, because everybody always thinks that, well, if you're making all this money, like you said, from Ciroc and Jay-Z and Oprah and LeBron and Beyonce and stuff, he said that these, top tier millionaire talents or what have you still get treated like iggas, if you will. Don't let our inclusion be an illusion. Which I found like, okay, well, that's really interesting because, outside looking in, we're thinking that you Gucci. You get what I'm saying? But, inside looking out, it's like, yeah, I may have made all this money and I am successful in my community, but we're still having to, navigate through a lot of things with our white brothers and sisters, if you will. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. And do you think it's going to be a help or nah?
I want to say this. I agree with Zach. Diddy is a fool. For one, he don't even pay his people. He has a whole label and don't pay anybody. They're always fighting about this or that. So I find it very funny how Ice Cube and all these people want to come out and say, "Oh, the black agenda, black this." I want to know: is your money associated with a black bank? Like it's black banks out here. Are you putting your money in a black bank? We want to tell black people how to do stuff, but where is your money at? It's in Bank of America. That's not a black-owned bank. So, like, if you're going to lead, if you want to be a leader, lead by example. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just tired of people saying all this stuff, and I get it. Like, black people do need to be seen and heard. I think that's very important. But in a way, is there still, like, division? You know what I mean? Like, are we trying to be in a little, like, a sector from everybody else? Like, because in all reality, we need all be in one. I feel like we just need to be respected and be treated fairly and equally. I don't believe in like trying to branch off over here from everybody else. Or if you're gonna do that, make sure we all support each other. And we all know that black people don't support black people. That's just my opinion.
I don't want to talk politics about forming another party until the current two systems start talking about reparations. Until we can have that conversation about reparations for black people, then and only then would I believe we need to start talking about having our own political party and things of that nature. I believe in having black owned and being black supportive and all that kind of stuff. But we need to have some other people being held accountable for the lack of reparations for black people in America. So let's talk about that first with our Republicans and our Democratic Party leaders, and get our reparations and take our reparations and form our own party. I'm all for that.
I thought it was interesting. At the beginning of the call, Zach shared some information about his experience at his college. And to me, my initial thought was Zach walked so that our Black Party could run. I feel like it's that same idea. Now, hear me out. I feel like it's that same idea of galvanizing Black people, getting them together. No matter how we feel about P. Diddy or if he should be the one leading the effort, maybe it's not him, but I have long said for years that we need a leader. Number one, something he said a few times, number one, someone who's not afraid to die, because I'm not going to be the one that get up there and die for our people. I can't do it. And number two, who is able to get all of us on board with a Black agenda as they're putting it. I don't know what that agenda will look like. I don't know who the people are. At its core, I think that maybe it should not be a political party. Maybe it's like the Better Business Bureau and you give it your stamp of approval. Like, this is our Black Party approved. This candidate this Democrat or this Republican or this independent is our Black Party approved. I don't know about forming a political party and an entity on its own, but I do think that there is some power to having a very large platform where Black people, Black activists, Black elected officials across the country come together and get all of us on the same page. Because what we will find is that there are people who have been able to convince Black people not to either vote for Joe Biden. They've convinced us to distrust Kamala Harris. They've convinced us to, sit out of the elections altogether. I was really appreciative that he retracted his statement about holding your vote, because I did feel like you said, that was very irresponsible. So I feel like there may be something to this, but I did not leave that 35-minute video being convinced of what that vision truly is. There were some gaps for me, a lot of gaps. So I left just as inquisitive as I did confused.
So what I wanted to say, are you guys able to hear me? Darius, that's a good point, but here's the thing. African Americans, or what I prefer the term Black people in this country, only make up 13% of the country. We are not able to move into being an island unto ourselves and push a Black agenda. We have to work within the confines of, am I still there?
You're frozen, but we can still hear you.
So I like where he was going with that, where we are working within their constructs, which is why I was saying, let's talk reparations first within those same constructs before we start talking about having our own party. But Zach is back.
I am back. And so what I was saying was, as only 13% of the United States population, we don't have the population, the capital, or the manpower to make demands and be our own party. We're never going to win any office. Libertarians and Green Party candidates and a number of these other factitious third-party candidates have existed, and they have never won anything. The fact that Bernie Sanders is able to sit up in cold, snow-capped Vermont as an independent is a miracle. We must work within the system. And in regards to the system, too, you got to look at, too, I want you always to think about follow the money trail. Ice Cube was financed and his business partner with Steve Bannon's best friend. So Steve Bannon, the notorious racist, white supremacist owner of Breitbart News, and now he has a agenda for Black America. These people are being heavily financed by Republicans, by Trump. They have a separate agenda of their own. Sean Combs, Ice Cube, Kanye West, Charlamagne's a God, and to a certain extent, T.I., these people are not working for the Black community. They are working for themselves. And I have to question all of it. I have no interest and no desire to ever see a Black party. I will never be a member of that party, and I will not pay one dime to support it.
So for me, to Darius' point, the piece, because I agree with everything you just said, the piece that I did somewhat commend him, or just the theory of it all, is the fact that we, as the Black community, we do need some type of unification, some way, somehow. And I feel like in many different conversations, it's always, we need a leader. We need a leader. Who's the leader? Who's the Martin Luther King? Who's the Malcolm X? Who is the Black person that could sit on a pedestal and do a Black State of the Union? Who is that person to get all the Black people together and we discuss and we whatever it is? And I feel like, because there's so many different Black people, types of Black people, and different mindsets and makeups of just being a Black person here in our country, it just leads to division. And the only way that we come together is for Black Panther or somebody die.
Let me give you a revolutionary
So at the end of, hold on. This is all I'm saying. In spite of, I appreciate the effort of trying to create some type of platform to unify Black people together. Beyond what she did, he did, what they said, the money trail, all that stuff. I commend that, because that is something that is definitely lacking.
Here's a shot. Here's kind of a revolutionary idea that came from the book Stamped from the Beginning by Dr. Ibn Kendi. Our goal isn't to be one unified race. Our goal is to be autonomous individuals. I can be my own black man and you can be your own black man. But the notion that we have to be unified as a community is because we are unified against systemic oppression. The systems exist to hold us back and never allow us at the seat of power. That's why we feel that we must unify, and that's why that reality exists. There is no black person today nor tomorrow that will come that can unify us because we're different individuals. What we have to strive to do is tear down the different pillars of systemic oppression so that we can have the right to vote in our own individual interest, not in our community interest. However, we are so far from that, we are unlikely to see it in our lifetime. Again, that's why you need to read the book, Stand from the Beginning, which I've been talking about since we started this live cast.
And to that point, Zach, I think that what intrigued me about this idea was that it would be made up of community activists and elected officials, and the platform is to be a platform for education. And so those ideas are ideas that I will buy into. And once again, like I said, I don't think that there should be a, Democrat, Republican, independent, black party. I don't think that it should be in that way because I don't, like you said, we'll never win. However, I do see the value in having a platform for education that specifically shows how politicians who are vying for the black votes are appeasing to the black people or the needs of black communities. So that's just my stance.
Then, if I had to just be real and be frank, I don't think we need any party. I think let's have a person to run and we vote on their core values and beliefs and principles. It's just too many. It's just too many division. Like it's so much going on. Like sometimes I do agree with a Republican, and sometimes I don't agree with a Democrat. So I'm just voting because of what my family told me to do. So I just hope in the near future, probably not in my lifetime, probably dead and gone, but at least by my great grandkids, they'll do away with these parties and you just run. And if we like you, we vote for you. Period.
I kind of agree with you on that. Like, for example, in Cobb County, and it's probably not anywhere else, we have to run on school board on a Democratic or Republican ticket. And education should not be a partisan issue. But I tell you, our school board has been dysfunctional for the last couple of years, simply because now we have 3 Democrats on the board and we have 4 Republicans on the board, and the Republicans are afraid that the Democrats are going to do this, and the Democrats are asking for this, and so there has been confusion where our school board has not actually been functioning properly for the last couple of years. And so this election this year is all about, we got to flip the board and we got to do this and we got to do that, and everybody is afraid. But at the end of the day, that partisanship can really become a problem and a hindrance for really trying to get the work done when you're focusing on something like education. So I agree with you in those regards, but sometimes I do like to know where people stand on things. If they're Republican, I like to know that because that lets me know where their values are and how they think. If you are a Trump Republican, that lets me know where your values are and who you are, because I have a lot of Republican friends. I hate when people say that, but I could have possibly been a Republican if I talked to certain people based on some of my conservative values. Some people would say, "Oh, you sound kind of Republican there," but at the end of the day, I'm not a Republican. I'm a Democrat, and I vote Democrat. But there are some Republicans that I do vote for based on who they are as a person. But when someone says they're Trump Republican, I side eye because I'm totally not with that. But if they're a Republican and they, fiscal responsibility and all some of those things that they say are Republican values, they are actually Democratic values as well. I can go. I can go with that, But when you start talking, systemic racism is not real and all that kind of stuff, you lost me. We just don't have that conversation. So,
and
go ahead.
My bad. And for me, to your point, going back to the Black Party, I'm gonna call it the Black Party. The Black Party. Diddy also made it known that it's open to both Democrat and Republican and independent and so on and so forth. So he definitely wants a very vast, colorful amount, a very robust amount of participants, so on and so forth. Now, there was one thing that did sort of, I don't want to say scare me a little bit, and I don't know if it was a dog whistle either, but in the midst of the interview, he also mentioned that in the event that Trump gets another 4 years, then it's going to be a race war. And Charlemagne the God kept pressing him like, okay, do you feel like it's going to be another civil war? And he's like, well, black, it's not going to be another hashtag. We're going to start fighting. And if white supremacists want to buck up, then we're going to buck up too. And we're going to eat them in the Senate, in the Congress, and we're going to eat them in person. So it's like, okay, well, now where is this going? Like you giving me MLK, then you giving me Malcolm X, then you, what are we doing right now? So I feel like the whole idea is still in theory for him. Darius, I don't know if you noticed this, but like Charlemagne the God kept trying to push issues and topics that I would think he would have to fully come out with this type of press release, if you will. That he was teeter-totting on some stuff. So there was some red flags for me.
Yeah, it was very I have a
question
two
for
things.
you all. Do you all think that the Constitution should be rewritten?
No, I don't think it should. No.
Me neither. No. It's actually a very good document. There's enough revisions already made, amendments already made to it to really make it stand firm. Do we need some support in making sure that we interpret the Constitution properly? Yes, we do need that. But I do believe the Constitution is a very strong document. Even though it wasn't written for us when it was written, but at the very
that's why I posed that question. But at
the end of the day, we are all created equal now in that mindset. So we can now take advantage of the Constitution in the authenticity of it. But we do need to work on how we interpret some of those things.
I want to tell Tatiana, sweetheart, don't waste your time. There's a lot of important things to research. Use your time wisely. And I want to say that in the United States Constitution, I want to just kind of counter a little bit, Leroy. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights always gave everybody and said we're created equal. It's how the Constitution was applied as they negotiated the 3/5 compromise in the Congress and in the legislative branch that changed it. The Constitution as itself is a fundamental document that has been used around the world. The United States Constitution has created democracies all around this world. It is one of the best legal documents ever written. Do we need a new Constitution? No. Do we need to have the Constitution applied appropriately and evolved and advanced? Yes. That's why we are able to amend the Constitution to meet the needs of current day Americans. So all I'm going to kind of think about
and that's why the Supreme Court is important, because that judicial branch interprets the Constitution for us. And that's why it's important who is on the Supreme Court, which is why we always keep having that argument as well. Because we don't want it to be too conservative, but we also don't want it to be too liberal. And we can never seem to get that right balance. And so that's also part of that conversation as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. It interprets the Constitution.
You know what, Leroy? The Supreme Court, the go about of it is turning into like a bad deck of Uno cards. It's like when you get hit with like 5 draw 4s and you just got to deal with it. And if you on the conservative side, then you win it. But if you get and it's vice versa on the other side. Right. If you got 4 draw 4s on the Democratic side, you win it. So, and I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good. If you are jeopardizing people's livelihoods and the country and ideas and ways of life, like I really equate the Supreme Court to just Uno. We're playing Uno.
I think it needs to be balanced, and we just don't have it. It's just not, the current system doesn't keep it balanced, and that's why you can roll back anything, especially the way this new Supreme Court is getting ready to look. They may roll back all kind of stuff, but again, it's all about how the Constitution is in.
But see, I don't agree with that.
It's about the seat of power. This is the thing. Mm-hmm. We allowed the American people elected Donald Trump. The American people elected Mitch McConnell's Senate, knowing what was at stake. Now we must live with those consequences. Just by happenstance, you have 3 Supreme Court vacancies under the Trump administration. That's how the law works. If it was reversed and Hillary would have won, we would have had 3 Supreme Court justices under Hillary. It just didn't work in our favor. It is an ebb and flow. It is a back and forth, and it is contingent on the times. We can't change the laws just because we are unhappy with the moment. That would lead to continuous chaos and instability in the American democracy. Our American democracy is more important than anybody here. It's more important than Donald Trump. It's more important than Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's more important than Zachary Kirk. It is the foundation of our nation, and it must endure. I do want to, before I lose connection again, move to the next topic, And this topic is about social media influencers.
Okay, so this is a topic that I thought that was very, very interesting. And okay, I want to pose a question to you real quick, Vince. Would you have selling cupcakes? And so you kind of fit this niche that I'm about to talk about. What if you were to go to social media and say, "Hey, I want you to push my product"? What do you look for on that page if you were to go that route?
Well, I'm glad you actually posed that question because my notes are actually geared around what you should do. I really think that you have to research because there's so many ways, but we all know you can buy followers, right? And so I can be Vince Ashton and have 72K, but my pure followers is maybe not even 10% of that 72,000 people. And I just feel like if you don't do your research and you actually click on the picture, and when you click on that picture, you click on the likes and you scroll down and see, okay, yeah, you got 500 plus likes, but is this a Russian bot? Is this a bot person? Is this an ad user? Like, is this a real life human being that's actually supporting whatever you are putting out there? So I think it definitely depends on research in terms of are the followers factual, and then just the magnitude and how often they post on Instagram. Inquiring with them, like, is your timeline more successful or is your stories more successful? Like, where do you get more hits there? And also the pricing as well, because people are trying to jig you on that too. So yeah, I would do it that way.
Yeah, because I mean, that's true. You can buy views now. You know, I click on people pages and I see they have, oh, you got 18,000 views. When I go on there, they only have one follower. They from Japan. They from whoever else. And like, it's just everything is so fake. And this is why I think this is so important. I brought this up because I feel like we all are influencers in our own right. Well, you know, Five Guys on Live. I don't know what y'all want to do to guess, but for what I know, with the Five Guys on Live, mine is Ryan. We all are trying to, you know, build our own brand and be our own businesses. And so it's I use a thing for my marketing tool for my pricing. I use a website called influencermarketinghub.com. Basically, what they do, you put in your username, and it shows you. It looks at your file, look at your engagement, and tell you what type of pricing you need to have. So according to that, it's telling me that I need to charge between $73.05 and $122.50 for my pricing per post if I want to do sponsors. So I think that's very important when people like Vince, who are on both sides, when you are going to do business with these influencers, that you put in their stuff and you fact check them, because they would tell you if they got bot followers or they got brought views, because it looks good on your page, but you wonder why you're not getting it sales because it's fake. You get what I'm saying? And then if it's the buyers, it's their best friends buying. It's not the people who like them. It's the inner circle who keep supporting them. They don't have an outer circle. And then I think I found it very important. I found this very interesting that if you have less than 100K followers, you should only get paid $200 per post. If you have a million followers and above, you should get paid $550 per post. So I just find it alarming, like how is Kylie Jenner, who is the highest paid social media influencer, she makes over $1 million per post, and she only has 138 million followers. So I just want to know, how do y'all guys feel about that? Do you feel like that's relevant? Do you feel like it's fair? Do you trust the influencer system, or are you just like, ugh?
What it comes down to is your net worth and what you bring to the table. I just had a sponsorship this past weekend with Palmini Noodles, which is a low carb noodle. I know it's not a secret that I've lost, 68 pounds on Weight Watchers. And so when brands reach out to me, it's about what I'm providing to that client. And I let them know that I'm not only going to give you a post, I'm going to give you a post. I'm going to give you a story. I did a live cooking demonstration of the noodles with an actual chef, and I made a TikTok. So it's really about you being an entrepreneur and knowing how to negotiate with your client what it is that you bring to the table to barter your goods. And it's important that influencers really bring something to the table for the brands. In reading the article, I agree with the baker. Yeah, I don't personally believe many small businesses should use the influencers if that influencer isn't able to bring a dedicated following to the table. I personally value the micro influencers under 20,000 more than I value the 100,000 people, because they typically have real friends who support what they do. I also believe it's important to not overtax our friends and ask them to buy from all these brands on our behalf. And we must be selective in making sure that we put in front of people the best products and the best resources. Because once I'm not willing to just work with anybody. I did the sponsorship with Palmini Noodles because I believe in the brand. I like the noodles. I did one with Grey Goose because I like the spirit. I'm not going to bring anything to anybody and say, I want you to try this if it's not something that I can stand behind, because I'm not going to mislead my friends.
And I like what you said that, Zach, because I turned down a couple of people who want to work with me, i.e. clothing brands or whatever. They want to pay me so much money to post. And I'm just like, they say my book as well with me the world through my eyes. Go buy it. I'm teaching you guys how to be unseen and say no. Everything, don't say yes every opportunity, because they might want to pay you $2,500. You might get paid $5,000 on a good day. It happens. But if you don't understand your niche and your market, my market's not going to buy some clothes that look like damn Space Jam clothes. So I can take your money, but then it's gonna hurt my credibility when you be like, oh well, I work with so and so, and he can't sell one damn shirt, but I paid him this much money. So you gotta understand. Branding is so important, you guys. Like, you have to really understand your niche, your hashtags, your followers. You got to see what they like, see what they're buying, see what they're posting. Like, it's like a whole freaking formula. So, the money might be good, but if you're not selling, and brands can look at that, it's a whole back office where if you a brand and you use so much money, you can see who your influencer partnered with and how they did. Just like with insurances and how they still get insurance with, it's a whole market. So now a lot of people can get away with a lot of things. And typically, the typical average engagement for influencers is 2 to 3%. So that means if you have, let's do a quick little math, 10,000 followers, you only need 200 likes on your post. And that's good enough for brands. And then a good day, if you have 4 or 6%, that's excellent. So why I don't understand, I agree with Zach. I don't understand why people go buy followers, why people go buy views, because that do you some disservice. Because when you do that, they're not going to buy your product. If you just pay $400 to get your little views up and your following, but they're not buyers, they're not real. So I want to encourage people who are influencer, just do the work organically. And when you do that, it's more rewarding instead of trying to look good for somebody who don't mean nothing. Because a blue check, just because you have blue check doesn't mean you're making money. Period.
Right. And that's a great segue. And so Rodney, of course, has a brand new book. Definitely Google it, check it out. He also has an influencer course. You can, that's right, hold it up. It came in the mail, the media world, my eyes, branding the brand. So you guys can definitely check that out and see it. And that really goes into our last topic of the night, Rodney. It also belongs to you. Tell us all about your friend Tamar.
Oh my gosh, y'all know I'm a Braxton fan. I love all the Braxtons.
Me too.
But sometimes Tamar does get on my nerves. And this has boils down to David. A lot of people felt like David was using her, or David was just trying to get a come up, because now he got a new app. I'm not gonna promote his app. He didn't pay us to promote his app, but he has a new app out there that he's pushing to get seen. And I just feel like this, and if y'all look at me sideways, it what it is. But if I'm with somebody and they on TV, and I love them, I'm not using them. If they on TV, you damn right I'm gonna make something and promote the hell out of it. Like, I think it's a disservice when you don't do that. Why would you be with Oprah and you're not trying to invent stuff and get it on Oprah platform? What sense does that make? Like, I don't see nothing wrong with David doing that, but it all boils down to David saying something about Toni Braxton children, and she went on a rampage talk about my kids. And also, it just goes to show you that sometimes women can be the aggressor. So according to Tamar, she went on record on Twitter saying that David wasn't a person who, I'm just being real. David wasn't a person.
Leroy!
I mean, women can beat you up too. So David wasn't a person who was like doing all the wrong in a relationship. Tamar went on the record and say, you know what? It was me. It was me being the attacker. It was me being the aggressor. And sometimes, you know, we always look to the man saying, why is the man doing something to Tamar? When actually it was Tamar doing something to David. And he just got out the way. And he got away with his app. And I don't see nothing wrong with that. Because he loved you. He would still be with you if you put your hands on him and do all this crazy stuff. So, like, I don't know, how do you guys feel about that?
I've never seen an episode of this show a day in my life, and I never will. But I'm certain that Darius will support and jump in and give the commentary. I'm not this is their lives, it's of no interest. But tell us about it, Darius.
No, I really don't have much to say about it. I think that when Tamar tried to commit, suicide a few weeks ago, it was very unfortunate. I was devastated. I think that she has rushed too quickly back to the limelight. I wish that they would have taken a little more time to just be off the grid, because it doesn't feel very it just feels bad. I mean, it just makes me feel so eerie about, her having all these issues, and then WeTV continues to exploit her, and she's written a whole, a 12-page letter about that. And now, they were still promoting this new show, Get Your Life, while she was up in the hospital or wherever she was recovering. And now for these issues to kind of be on top of it just makes me feel very bad. However, I do not know that David got with Tamar for clout. I don't know that. I feel like, okay, so I did just do a quick Google. We know that net worths often are, just ballparks and not always, and it also does not mean this is what the people have in their pocket. It's just their net worth. David's net worth, David is worth more by himself than Tamar and Vincent Lee the Herbert were worth together. And so Tamar, when she went on her initial press run about, oh, this is my man and he's so fine, and I got me a good man. I think that he's like Harvard Business. He's like, hedge fund, you name it. Like, David is into all that stuff. He also was advertising that he's into the stock market heavily. And so I don't think that, he had ulterior motives when he got with Tamar. But back to your point, Vince, Rodney. I would not be on a reality TV show platform, or any platform for that matter, without some product to promote. And we see it all the time with, Candy Burris, Nene Leakes. These people have taken these things by the horns and really have, made a lot of businesses out of it. And then you have people like Kenya Moore, who's done like one thing over the course of her, 10 years on the show. And so it's just about, making sure that you actually capitalize off of this opportunity. So I don't blame him. If the trade-off of me being with you means that I have to be on TV, then I'm going to make sure that I'm promoting something as well.
So let me, DeAndre in the comments, he put hey, DeAndre, that's my friend. Something he put about the opportunist and being an opportunist. If you don't have that conversation up front, we don't know if they had it or not. But I do believe if the trade-off for me being on the show, as you just said, is you're going to have to help me hustle this right here. That's going to be the trade-off, because I'm not getting that housewife check or that Tamar check or any of that. You're getting the check, but you're using me to help build your storyline. So there's going to have to be some trade-off there.
Exactly.
So, but again, if the conversation wasn't had in the beginning, you want to make sure I'm not being an opportunist and I'm just cashing in, but there should be conversation first, because again, this is a business. So I believe that those strategies should have already been worked out when we start talking about what my storyline going to be and how you play a part into that, but again, it could be nasty and look like an opportunist. Thank you, DeAndre.
So for me, reading the article, the quote that I pulled from it, specifically geared toward what the article was about, nobody wins when the family feuds. And I think that's powerful right there. I
That
think
ain't no
that's
damn family.
no, nobody wins when the family feuds, and it's unfortunate because I haven't watched like the Braxton family values like that. I've seen episodes through the years here or there, but I can remember like the first season and it just being lighthearted and fun and talented, and you actually showed the healing, you showed the conversation, you showed the work. And then as of course the seasons progress, then Ayanla, and then it gets messier and messier and messier, and so on and so forth. And even reading just the in-depths of the cracks and crevices of the article, like David got representation, and now they got the investigators and detectives and just all this stuff. And it's like this is too much. It's too much for this to once upon a time be a platform to showcase a Black family. And that is the root of it for me, making sure that in whatever capacity, no family is perfect. Everybody has their highs and lows, their trials and tribulations that we all go through family to family. But we all have to make sure that we get to the other side. We all have to make sure that we overcome whatever those trials and tribulations are. So I really pray the God honest best for the entire Braxton family, because they're tremendously talented to keep going through the stuff that they've been going through. Actually, it's funny because I did watch one episode of Braxton Family Values. It was like this, the second season when Tony did, she had surgery for lupus or something like that.
Yes,
And Tamar broke down and she was like, I hate the fact that Tony always has to go through the hardest stuff, the bankruptcy, surgery, dealing with, her child is special needs, so on and so forth. And so it's like, if you know that in your natural being, you already got a lot of stuff going on, why bring additional things? Why put yourself in even more mess? And this is just generally for just families anywhere. So, I really pray the God honest best for the entire Braxton family, and that they overcome, and that, Tamar gets whatever she needs, and keep going from there.
But Vince, you know what? I appreciate their honesty. I feel like the Braxton Family Values is one of the realest reality shows out there, because they show you everything they go through. And if Tamar get pissed off, she gonna tweet about it. She don't care if it was whoever. She gonna let you know. So, and then go back into when we talk about the WAP video. Like, it's a WAP video supposed to be a video to teach young girls. No, it's a video. It like Tamar, like these reality shows should not be your ideal to how you should run and live your life. It is strictly entertainment. They are there to make money. And so therefore I'm not mad at David. If you gonna so you gonna use me for a storyline, and Leroy said it too, well damn it, I'm gonna benefit off of it. Period. Yeah.
I mean, I would give you that. I would give you that. So I'm gonna put this. So let's really quick. So Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Mimi. There was an interview that Mimi did with Bossip, and they were like, it's a lot of younger girls looking at you, and do you consider yourself a role model? And she flat out said, no, I am not nobody's role model. This is my life. I'm not trying to heal nobody. I'm not trying to be the next Coretta Scott King. That is what Mimi said. The Braxtons say the opposite. They put out there, we want to show Black sisterhood. We want to show that Black families can be successful. Yes, Black families go through X, Y, and Z, but they put that story and that narrative out there, that their goal, right, is to be a pedestal and an image for Black families to look at. So I would give you that if that narrative was never pushed, but that even came out of their own mouth themselves. So that was my rebuttal to that one.
Bless their hearts, all of them.
Yeah, I've never seen it. It seems like a great show, full of great.
It's on Netflix, Zach. Check it out. Netflix.
I won't be able to do it. I have a very limited TV schedule. If I'm not watching news, I only watch 1 hour of like non-news per day, period. So it's highly unlikely that I will ever fit this into the rotation, but it does sound good. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us tonight. I want to give a very special thank you to board member Hutchins. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend. We can't wait to have you back. I will definitely be reaching out to you for other panels or other discussions around the work of education. Yes. And as always, Darius, it's a pleasure to have you as one of our rotating guests, my friend. I have really enjoyed the experience. Thank you guys all. If you have not checked out Rodney's new book, please do so. You can order it on Amazon. I purchased the digital version of the book. Only $3.99 on Amazon, $12 for the actual print version that came in the mail to Leroy. Is a great way to support our friend. In addition, he's offering courses on how to brand your brand. So that's also there. We also, of course, I know, Vince, you have the whole entire empire of entrepreneurship that you have. You're gearing up for a very big holiday order around, 30 flavors of cheesecake?
Yeah, over 30.
Over 30 flavors of custom designed cheesecakes that you can order. Put your order in now. They're here in the Atlanta area. Excellent, wonderful. Can't wait to have it. And we're all excited to be joining Darius on October 29th, where his children's book will be released and available for mass ordering. So we're really excited as well to support you. You know that I'm going to be there. I can't wait to get my signed copy. We are very excited about it. So thank you for engaging with us. And we can't wait for you to join us on...
While he pausing,
you will lose him right there.
Hey, y'all, make sure that you follow us on Instagram at 5 Guys on Live. Everything that we post, we would love for you all to interact with it. So feel free to leave comments. We want to engage in a conversation with you all, as well as on our Facebook platform too. So please make sure that you like the 5 Guys on Live page, so on and so forth. And also make sure that you share these episodes. We appreciate you so much for tuning in, but we want to get more and more. So tell your cousins, baby daddy, sister, brother, all of them to watch us. We here every Monday. Y'all say every Monday at 9 o'clock. Do that.
And I can't hear you, Leroy. I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm a fan, and I'm a new fan, so I appreciate it. These comments over here, they have me dying. But I appreciate the invite. I appreciate you sharing me with your family, your 5 Guys on Live family. So I'm excited. I'll be back anytime.
And let me say this. I want to make sure I say this because I don't know if people who follow the show brought from the book as well. I just want to say thank you guys for whoever purchased my book before and now and afterwards. Like, it is truly a blessing to my life to know, without me even doing a press run, without me even hiring a PR, I have sold over 500 copies. And that's only because of you guys' support. And that's why you need to buy a book. Like, teach how to build a brand. You can do the same thing. So we love you from the 5 Guys on Live. Thank you guys for tuning in every Monday. Like my co-host Vince said, share the live, you guys. We up here because we love you guys. We want to give you guys good content. Zach do a wonderful job as being the I can't think of the word. Say it, Zach. I can't say it.
Moderator,
thank you.
producer.
Moderator. Like we're making these good graphics for you. It's a collective. So we want to grow and learn with you guys, and we only grow with you guys sharing and telling more people about us. And we love you, and thank you, Leroy, for coming on, and thank you, Dad, for coming back on. You might have a spot. But
I'll send the invoice and we'll see.
But we love you here from 5 Guys on Live. That's all I had to say, so Zach, you can take it away.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you on next Monday.